So I've taken this Laowa 10mm lens on 4 different trips, and I have a little bit to say about this. And to cut it short, this lens is fantastic. It is great 99% of the time, but in that 1%, there are some drawbacks. So I've taken this lens with me to Hawaii, to California, to Las Vegas, and I couldn't have been happier taking this lens. In Hawaii, this lens got huge landscapes, which is great for setting the stage, great for vlogging, great for setting up stationary shots. This was an amazing lens to use. Then also vlogging, I got myself, got my wife, got my whole family within the frame, and it was just amazing. However, in Hawaii, I did struggle with some autofocusing, and that was because of 2 reasons. The first one, I had my focus region set to wide during the Hawaii trip. So within the frame that you see, that's what it's trying to focus on, anything that it can grasp within the scene. And so, however, with that being the case, sometimes it can't recognize a subject because it wants to look at something else. You lose focus, even though you're right in front of it, it has a hard time finding a subject. And I found this to be the case maybe 2 or 3 times in Hawaii. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it was kind of annoying. But when I took this lens to Vegas, it made vlogging so much easier and so much more enjoyable because I got everything within the scene. It helped establish where we were, what we were doing, and it made it less stressful not to worry about what was in frame because this thing captures so much. And then when I took this lens to California, this lens was a beauty. It, again, just like in Hawaii, captured a wide range. And it was amazing to see how much I could put in frame. Even in tighter spots where I literally had the lens inches away from my face, it still got me and what I was doing. It got the food on the table. It got everything. It was great because when I put at the end of the table, it captured everybody as well, for the most part. Because if it was any tighter, like say a 16, you for sure lose the sides, but this being 10mm, it is wide open. And what I learned using this lens throughout all those places is that active stabilization is freaking fantastic. The grit is still there, because although the footage is smooth, there's still that handheld feel to it when you're using this lens. And that adds on to the fact that I don't have to worry about how stable the footage is because I know active stabilization does a really fantastic job keeping the footage as stable as possible, and for as wide as it is, it doesn't punch in all that much. So while the stabilization is great, obviously it's not as good as a first-party lens, but it does well. This lens has been a game changer. And the last 2 things I want to bring up is that the build quality of this thing is a tank. I did ding it once on my travels. There's a scuff mark right here. Not sure if you can see it, but I did ding it pretty hard. But it's still working like new, and the build quality is pretty good. But that leads me into my last point, is if you're handhelding this by the lens, it is pretty easy to switch off the autofocus. I've had it a couple of times to where I accidentally switched off the autofocus and ended up being a manual, and I definitely ruined some footage. But is this the ultimate travel lens? I would have to say so. It is a prime, and you are stuck to the range of 10 to 14mm, depending on your active stabilization or dynamic active stabilization, if you're using that. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. This thing is fantastic. If you pair this with the 24mm lens, which I have on right now, and that's a lens I'm excited to talk about, this is the champion for vlogging lenses. I'm excited to go on this camera journey. Feel free to watch any of my past videos, and feel free to subscribe to my main channel. I am a travel content creator, so if you want to see me on my travels, subscribe over at Cozy XP. But if you want more tech and gear videos, subscribe here at Cozy Gear. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.